Welcome to the show, and make sure that you subscribe, like, follow, do all those great things to help support the show. My guest today, Al Jackson, is a very smart guy. Went to Brown University, was once pre-med, and then he went from teaching middle school to touring with some of the biggest comedians around, including Andrew Dice Clay, Hannibal Buress, Dave Attell, Jim Norton, Steve-O from Jackass. The list goes on and on. And of course, he's still doing stand-up, and he's got some really good, funny bits online. If you check it out, just put it into YouTube or Google, you'll see some great stuff. And you can also see him on DBL, Daily Blast Live. Some really interesting debates and discussions on that show. And I had this whole interview planned, but we kind of got off topic, and I just went with it because the conversation was so fascinating to me. And we jumped from topic to topic, but it was very natural, and I really enjoyed his opinions and his perspective on things. He's definitely not just parroting other people. You can tell he actually has his own thoughts and his own opinions that are not just from some cookie cutter thought process. He's actually thinking this stuff out. And I think the conversation seems really real because it is. And I really enjoyed this interview, and I think you will too. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments on YouTube or social media. Thanks, guys. And thank you to Al for taking the time to do my show. There you go. Welcome, Al Jackson, to the podcast. It's so great to have you here. I'm so thrilled that you just said yes to doing the show.
It's an honor, and we were talking kind of, I don't know how much is on that we recorded, but just honestly, I really respect the guests that you have on. It's like there's certain people that just kind of think their way through life and have these adventures and pull back and analyze them and then discuss them and take that knowledge and move forward. It's a slower way to move along with life, but it allows you to kind of examine things in real time. So like we were talking about a lot of the guests that you've had, and I feel the same way about them. So hopefully I'll be one of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I'm a huge fan. I went down the what would I call it? Like the Al Jackson rabbit hole. I found a clip of you. It was the Viagra clip, the stand-up.
Yeah,
it has like 1 million views or something. It was because it was through Comedy Central.
Yeah,
and so that randomly came up, and I clicked it, and I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant. And then I just started finding more clips, and there's good stand up, and there's also clips of you on Daily Blast Live saying funny shit.
Yeah, bro. That's why I'm dressed like a hip hop tax attorney. I just got off set. Did you know you could write off twerking?
I was going to ask you if you like wearing a suit, because that would be I think your job is so cool on Daily Blast Live, but that's the one thing that I would be like, I don't really like wearing suits and ties.
You know what? That's so interesting that you say that, because, my father was an attorney. And so I grew up looking at my dad wearing a suit every day. And then when I became a comic, I was like, t-shirt and jeans and whatever. And I was like, oh, that's kind of, I have such a different job than my dad that we wear totally different things. And then I got this job, and I immediately kind of like putting on a suit and tie and then taking it off and then going to do stand-up. It kind of, in a weird way, puts me in a different mindset, because I have tried to do stand-up in a suit, and I'm like, I hate myself. And everybody should leave, because no one should be doing stand-up dressed like this.
I feel like it's very 80s to do stand-up in a suit.
It is. And even though, like, I tried it one time, because I was like, maybe, you get sucked into like your brand. People should recognize when you're in a suit, they know it's you. But it's like, man, dude, if people don't know that it's me because I have a t-shirt on, they're not a fan.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, it just feels stiff. And with the material that I like to have and like the relaxed nature, I don't want to be dressed like, I feel like when I'm wearing a suit, I'm dressed like the guy that like immediately hits on your wife when you go to the bathroom, like we're having a good dinner. And then as soon as you get up, it's like, is this serious? Like, it's just like a slimy feeling with it, like being in a suit at night. I don't
at
like
a nightclub. Yeah. But during the day, it makes sense. And then does it help you switch your brain? Because, and I know you were a teacher too, so you've got to like switch that off where you can't curse. I don't think you curse a lot in your act anyways, but.
Yeah. I talk about adult things. It's a weird thing with teaching and with doing a daytime talk show. It's almost the same thing. And I almost equate it to being at your grandmother's house, which is a weird thing. And what I mean by that is everybody goes, how do you not curse? And it's like, Well, how do you not curse when you're at the Thanksgiving dinner table? Like your brain just knows,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like you don't walk in there like, don't say fuck in front of auntie. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
you just don't do it. And it's a weird thing. I've gotten close. Sometimes something will almost slip out, but for the most part, I'm in a different space and I'm trying to articulate myself in a way where I never want to give somebody that disagrees with my point of view a reason to disregard what I'm saying. You can disagree with it, but a lot of times when you curse, they're like, oh, he's just using foul language. So they can automatically not listen to what you're saying, and you give them an out to not have to deal with the argument that you're presenting to them. So I want to be like, look, Chuck, you might disagree, but here's my logic. But if I go, here's my MF and now you like, you can go, well, if you're going to talk like that, now you don't have to discuss what I presented to you. So I'm not going to give you that out as a viewer or as a listener. I want to engage you, and I don't want to give you a reason to check out. And language for a lot of people is a reason for that. So
interesting.
I at least want you to hear me.
Yeah, that's. I guess that's a good point. I never think about that for myself, because I don't. If people curse a lot, I mean, I guess you start to notice it if it's like every other word. But I think for me, I'm just kind of like, I kind of just rolls right off I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they did say fuck or shit or whatever. Like, but yeah, unless it's every other word, it doesn't affect. But you're right. There's some people that even if you use one curse word, you've lost all credibility.
Right. Yeah. And it's different. Like if you and I are talking, somebody's shit or whatever, I wouldn't even notice. But when you know that you're talking to a television audience, podcast audience, that especially probably a podcast audience that isn't clicking onto your podcast because they like you, they're hearing an issue that they already feel probably very partisan about. So no matter who you are, they're going to look at you as the opposition. So like I look at that when I'm presenting my argument, that half the people, if I'm pro-choice, half the people are pro-life. So I have to understand that going in, and I have to be respectful of that. But I wanted to lay out my logic for why I feel the way I do. And I just want you to hear me. I don't expect to change your mind. I'm not going to berate you. I'm not going to call you this. I'm just going to be like, I think most comics are just like, here's my logic. Show me where I'm wrong. And when the audience kind of can't, that's when there's a laugh, because comics kind of present things in a way that they're like, well, he's not lying, you know? So that's kind of always where I want to come from. I know I'm not going to change your mind. I just want to make you laugh and think about it a little bit differently.
Do they like when you guys argue on Daily Blast Live? Do the producers try to get topics and things that, I mean, because even the setup of the different hosts, I think some of your hosts have different beliefs and backgrounds than you, right? And that's on purpose.
Yeah, well, kind of, sort of. I mean, I'm assuming when you cast any kind of talk show, you want to have different opinions. But we've had the hosts that you've probably seen are probably the originals. We've had 3 hosts come and go. But you know, there's such a difference in opinion in terms of where the hosts are coming from, because like I'm a comic. I've been on the road for 15 years. I'm probably more liberal in a lot of the things that, you know, that I, you know, think are okay. But at the same time, I'm also a father. And so I have a daughter that's now 14. And the things that the trends on TikTok that are out are affecting her in real time. And so I have a different perspective. And so you look and you see me and like my other co-host, Jeff, who's a straight white guy. Then you think, well, you know, he must toxic this. And Jeff is like not super religious, but he keeps his religion close to his vest, but he's a very devout guy, good, like father guy, like always has been, never was a player. He looks like a model. He doesn't care.
He's a good looking guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good looking dude. He never chased women or did anything. He lives his life with a code. And so a lot of the things that we'll look at where, you know, a lot of conservatives will be like, oh, I like Jeff. He's like a real conservative. It's not conservative mixed with like a little bit of misogyny or racism. It's just like, he's like, no, I don't like where this is going. And there used to be conservatives that were like, I don't care if, you know, gay people are getting married, but I don't want us to be talking about sex in my kid's school or condoms. That's a conversation to be had. But like, you know, it's started to drift into like kind of other places. So like, yes, to get back to what you're saying, we do try and make it as diverse as possible, but full disclosure, it's hard to get, let me make sure I'm saying this right. It's hard to find like a legitimate conservative voice that's coherent all the time. And it for somebody like me that loves to debate, it's frustrating, but we've tried many, and there's just things that are being said that are not true, and it's being said on live television. And you can't have that.
So Jeff is not, he is conservative then, or what do you mean? Like a true conservative?
Jeff is, yeah, I guess, yes. I guess.
Is he more moderate? He's more moderate.
Moderate. Yeah. It's like
Okay.
I'm trying to think in real time.
Yeah.
Maybe, Chuck, we need to redefine what a conservative is, because is a conservative like William Barr or Michael Flynn, or is a conservative a guy that goes home to his wife and kids and like doesn't care if gay people get married, and like he doesn't care about the traditional.
That's more like libertarian
conservative values.
Yeah. So I think that you're talking more like libertarian, like socially liberal, fiscally conservative. I guess Republican used to be fiscally. I feel like neither party is fiscally conservative anymore.
That's
like
gone.
there's just,
you notice people don't even talk about that anymore. They're like the budget. People like, shut up. Okay.
Yeah. Just throw it on the credit card. We'll worry about that later. That's the next generation's problem.
Yeah. Yeah, we're done with that. Yeah, I don't, what would you, because he's not, I wouldn't say Jeff is liberal. I guess maybe I'm liberal, but I think
you're both kind of moderate. He might be a moderate conservative and you're a moderate Democrat from what I've seen of the show, which I haven't watched a lot.
I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, there's very few things that we disagree on, but I think that's how most human beings interact. If you and I wrote down 1,000 things, we might disagree on 17. Like, it's like, that's how human beings were like, right. Hey, make some money, find somebody you love and get a house. Like after that, I don't care, but there's all these other things that are constantly pushed into our lives. And if you don't stop yourself, you'll forget that this doesn't matter. For the most part, it doesn't matter. It's the little moments in life and the friends that you make and the connections you make that like are everything. And I'm like, I refuse. Like I have somebody for the most part handling some of my social media because I don't want something I read on social media to affect how I come at a joke or come at a topic. I want my thoughts to be pure. I want to have read it myself, and had some time, but I don't want just somebody to type, you did Chuck's podcast. Did you know he said this in 2008? I don't want to I can't do that. Mm-hmm. But like if you go down that road with you doing research for a guest is one thing.
Yeah.
But when you take in every bit of information that is being hurled at you from every human being that you've ever met, every second of the day, which is what Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok is. It's me showing you a picture of my kid, your mom posting a recipe, your next podcast host saying that they might have to cancel, a picture of your uncle catching a fish. All these things are now in your head. And as somebody that has the gift that you do to listen, to process and create another follow-up question and go forward, can you afford to have all that in your head at all times? That's what scares me. It's like maybe we weren't supposed to have the weight of everybody's world, good and bad. Oh, my dad got back from Iraq. Great. My mom died of COVID. Oh no, my brother is gay. Yay. Like all these things.
That's a good point.
It's so much shit, dude.
You're right.
Oh, and then Trump said this, and the Browns quarterback is hurt, and ours is now the time to buy a home. Son, I can't. I need to be in my office thinking about shit. And then I'll leave my office and talk to people about what I'm thinking about, but I cannot be thinking about this and everything else y'all been thinking about, Well,
there definitely needs to be limits. I would agree. If you're on social media, I'm probably on it way too much. I need to cut back. But even when I cut back, I feel like and even if I try to cut back on the news, I feel like my thing is like people will send me articles from the right and left. I'll get articles. Check out this article. And I'm just like, unless I block my friends, I don't know how to avoid all this information. It's like so much information, especially during COVID. It was just like, I mean, I was getting it from both sides, and I was like, oh my God, I'm just so sick of all this. How do you avoid that?
How did COVID go for you? I'm curious. I'm just like asking people, like, how did it, where were you mentally before, during, and like, where are you now?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, actually. For me, yeah, it was, and I hate to say this because I know it's been really horrible for a lot of people. But for me, like all the lockdown and stuff at the beginning was like, I mean, it was like really nice because I was just able to focus on podcasting. And guess what? When comedians and musicians can't go on tour, they're available for podcasts. So, I mean, I hate to say that because I know that it was devastating for millions of Americans and people worldwide. But for me, like especially at the beginning, it was kind of nice. I mean, eventually, yeah, then I got sick of not being able to go anywhere and all that. And then just all the news and stuff, that was like mentally taxing for me just to hear all the information. And it felt like the information kept changing. It would say, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And I feel like we're still kind of confused a little bit. There's people saying, do this, don't do that. And so I don't know. I got vaccinated and I was just like, I hope it doesn't kill me later, but,
yeah.
who knows? Nobody knows the long-term effects of the vaccine. So
you don't, but also no one knows the long-term effects of Monster energy drinks. You know, every time I drive past a 7-Eleven in any city I'm performing, I see a 20-year-old out there with 2 tall boys of Monster energy drinks. And I'm like no one knows what's in a McDonald's bun. It's not just bread. No,
a lot of that shit causes cancer. Yeah, for sure. I'm sure.
Probably bad.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Maybe I should care more, but I'm just like, I can't. It's not that I don't care. It's that I can't care because I don't have enough information. I just know that you know.
Oh yeah. Here's my thing is like trust your doctor. My doctor said get the vaccine. I'm like, all right. Well, you're a doctor. You went to medical school. Hey, you used to be pre-med. So you might have a little more information than the average person, right?
All my friends are doctors. All my ex-girlfriends are doctors. We have a doctor on our show. Yes, all my friends, they were like, yes, dude. That's how they were like, yes, all of them. Like not one of. And I did an exchange program, so I went to Brown for my last 2 years. So all my friends are mostly Ivy League educated doctors, and to a man or a woman, they were all just like, yeah. So that was kind of very reassuring. And it also like, you forget we don't know everything, but we do know more now than we did 9 months ago. Like I didn't even know, like, you know, could I go outside and get the mail? Because would it be floating in the air? Like I didn't know. You know?
I remember going to get the mail and wearing gloves because I was so scared. I didn't know.
Yes, and you didn't. There was no cure, so if you got it, everybody's like, "All right, bro." You know, like no one knew. So it's scary, but we're in a much better place, and I do think that we do need to at least acknowledge that for as much as a cluster F as it has been, we turned around and got a vaccine together pretty quickly.
That's super amazing.
It was amazing. And it was because obviously we had other, we had, what was it? The H1N1, which is very similar. So we've been doing research on that. But you know, I got so deep into reading about like how the pandemic came to be and like how capitalism played a part in that. And like the fact that we didn't have any masks at first is because like it's not lucrative for a biomedical company to keep masks. They don't, you know, they're just sitting in a warehouse.
Yeah.
If there's no pandemic, you have to keep them clean. You have to recycle them if they go bad. And there's money in coming up with, you know, something for arthritis or HPV or something. There's like that's whatever people have.
Yeah.
But masks, there's no financial incentive to have them, so we didn't have any.
That's crazy to have you seen that show Dopesick yet? Have you watched that?
No. Oh, did I watch some of it? I mean, I think I've definitely seen. Is it like
with Michael Keaton? And it's about the opioid crisis and how they pushed OxyContin on everything.
No, are you talking about the greatest crime ever, crime of the century?
Oh, that's another one. I think, is that more like a document? This is like a drama.
That's a documentary. I think Dopesick is an actual movie, right? Yeah.
But it's the same kind of thing. It's all about the pharmaceutical company. They're really pushing the OxyContin, and it's really scary. Like, I mean, because I just had this guy on a couple weeks ago who goes around and he talks to homeless kids in Phoenix, and they're all addicted to fentanyl, and they're smoking it and stuff. And it's like a lot of it started with the pharmaceutical companies pushing this Oxycontin stuff, which is like super addicting. And they're like, oh, it's only 1% get addicted. Well, that was total BS. And so, yeah, you had an interesting point the other day about yesterday. I think you're talking about wokeness and how that's a financial motive sometimes, like how they changed Superman. What was it? They changed it from the American way. They took that part out.
Truth, justice, and the American way.
So they took that out and you thought it was because so they could go worldwide and make more money.
Well, that's what it is. It's so interesting when we talk about the idea of being woke. It went from something where it just meant that you have a greater palette to kind of pull from in terms of like looking at, understanding what you're looking at, to now it's kind of seen as like over analyzing and being too hyper sensitive to things. And you'll see it a lot of times when companies change their branding. We saw this with like Mr. Potato Head, and like Pepe Le Pew and Cinderella, and they were like, you liberals are ruining Cinderella. I'm like, no, Cinderella's gross. Like some dude found her shoe and now she's got to marry him. Like what kind of weird.
Wait, what did they? I didn't hear about the Cinderella one.
Yeah, because Disney were saying that they're not going to be pushing that as much as they're going to be pushing the newer cartoons, because a lot of the ones for the younger women, like Snow White, is considered. Have you ever thought about like Snow White? Like she's asleep around like 7 dudes and they're like standing over her. It's super creepy, bro. It's like you really look at and it's like one gets to kiss. Like what? They're weird, and so they're changing that. And because of that, I think a lot of people that are my generation, but definitely a generation or two older than me, are looking at it. First of all, they're feeling hurt because they feel like what they cherish is being canceled, which in a way it is. But they're saying, oh, you're too woke. You're too woke. But I think what these companies are doing is saying, hey, instead of just marketing to this small audience, how about we open this up? America is what, 4% of the world's population? Everybody likes Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's take America off of this, make it liberty or whatever the hell other benign word, and sell to everybody. And the example I use is like, if I've sold t-shirts after comedy shows before. It's a pain in the ass, but
I feel sorry for you guys when you do that.
Oh God, I hate it. It's not worth it. I hate it. But if I sold a t-shirt that said, hey, fellas, it's time to drink some beer. That's what the brilliant t-shirt said. If somebody goes, hey, women drink beer too, dummy.
Yeah.
And I go, okay. And I change it to, hey, y'all, time to drink some beer. Am I being woke or am I being a capitalist? Why wouldn't I open up my t-shirt to 51% more of the market? Like, but we look at it as woke, and it's like, oh, you just hate men. It's like, no, I love money. I mean, it's a difference.
So that could be, and it makes sense because all these big giant corporations are doing a lot of this stuff. Like the NFL was doing, they had the whole like women and all this women for breast. And I'm like, why is the NFL pushing breast cancer? I think it was to get, and they had the pink, remember? They don't do it as much anymore, but I think that was to get women. And then they push a whole women's line of NFL. Is that wokeness, or are they just trying to make more money because they include women in the NFL? That's a lot more money.
And look, they're not just like, the NFL is not some old granddad in a dark room drinking whiskey and hoping they have facts. They've looked at this. They know that when they look at their demographic, you look at like the typical Cowboys family, dad's barbecuing, mom's got her jersey on, kids got their jersey on, it's a Cowboys family. Right. And so you want to get that 9-year-old girl that's a Cowboys fan and possibly get her money and her future family's money for the rest of their life. Like it's not just about that anymore. It's about money. And like, we keep looking at these companies and we look at Gillette. Remember how much air quotes, trouble they got into for the toxic masculinity campaign that they had. But Gillette isn't worried about getting my money anymore. My father, God rest his soul, his money. They got our money. They're going after the kids that are 13 now that are going to be using their product for the next 50 years. And those kids are learning that the behavior that my dad's generation and definitely mine as well got away with, frat boy, terrible stuff, that's over. Guys are not going to live like that anymore. And women are not going to take it anymore. And so they're getting ahead of it. And like you're seeing these companies do that, or you risk becoming Victoria's Secret, who refuse to adapt to women's bodies, refuse to make nude bras that were anything but cream. And what happens? No one comes for you. You don't get sued. A company like Fenty comes. Rihanna's company comes. She makes lipstick and bras for brown women, for heavyset women, for white women with big butts. And Victoria's Secret is bankrupt. And now they're trying to get a trans model to be there. It's too late. You had your chance 5-10 years ago. I'm sure somebody came in the boardroom and it's like, hey, we need to start marketing. This is what the average American female looked like. And those people were probably walked out by security. And because of that, Victoria's Secret, either you adapt or you go under. This is very simple. And it has nothing to do with being woke.
Right. Well, and isn't some of that too to get press? Like if they do some of these, if Victoria's Secret has a trans model, that's going to make some headlines. And then people are going to start talking about it. Whether they agree, disagree, it's going to get headlines.
Right. Right. And I just think they went and got a trans model. I think they got Megan Rapinoe, the soccer star, football star, however you want to say it, from our women's team, gold medal team. But I think it was too late, bruh. I think you should have done that 5-8 years ago. And that's why you have a company like that. And that's why leading into another buzzword that's considered like a bad word, but like why it's so important, representation and inclusivity. Everybody thinks that's like, okay, we got to hire a black dude. Fine. It's not that. You want to have young people, gay people, people of color, people where English isn't their first language, people who have, lived remotely and never go to the city, people that live in the city and never, you need different people. So when they look at ads, they're like, this is how this hits me. This is how my friends see that her cooking. My mom would never cook like that. Or see how you let that the husband get away with that comment in this commercial. Women aren't going to like that because our men do that. That's gaslighting. And, a guy my age or 25 years older would be like, what the hell is gaslighting? But you need to have young people there to let people know the direction of your product. And when you don't, you turn into a dinosaur like Victoria's Secret or all these other companies. That Blockbuster went out of business because they didn't think people were going to want to stream videos.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Because they're boomers. And they only know one thing, and that's why I'm a boomer soon. There's no shame, but you need to have young people with a different perspective be like, hey, how great would it have been if one person be like, hey, CEO, I'm just an intern here, but me and my friends are already having DVDs sent to my house. We don't want to go to Blockbuster. And then he'd be like, is this true? Yeah, we all do that. We'd be living in a different reality than Netflix. How interesting would that be?
Yeah, didn't they laugh Netflix out of the Netflix offered what they offer like to sell for like $1 million to Blockbuster, and they laughed him out of the room.
It's boom because
Crazy.
people that have been successful often become a prisoner of that, and they're just like, hey, let me tell you something, Chuck. I have 17 yachts and I have 15 businesses because I know what people like, and people like VHS tapes. Okay. They don't want to take in new information, and it's hard because if you've made all this money, why would you want to then do in your head a 180? So I get it, but that's why you need somebody else on your team to see what you can.
So how are you doing that with your own? Are you, you said you have someone running your social media now, or are they posting clips and stuff? Because you have so many good clips. I heard you say something that somebody else like took one of a clip of you and it got like 24 million views or something. And it was like they took the clip of you and they didn't even tag you in it.
No, they didn't. I want to find that person and let's leave that. That's a story for off air, son.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of anger, but yeah,
because you should be creating those clips or have somebody doing it for you on your account, because those would still go viral, right?
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, it's one of those things where, when that clip, I've had a couple things go viral. The first couple ones that did, I didn't even really know. I was still like a comic masquerading as a talk show host, because I hadn't completely bought in because we were year 1 or 2. And I was like, I don't know if the show's going to go. I've been doing stand-up for 14 years. So I'm like, I'm almost like, got one foot out the door, like a shitty step parent. So like, I was just like, I might need to leave, but like, but then after I embraced, like, this is my job and let me start taking it seriously. Like I started like looking and being like, oh, I need to learn how to cut my own clips. I just can't say, can somebody do this for me? So I taught myself how to edit, taught myself how to use all these gadgets over COVID, and just kind of started to take ownership of my voice, as corny as that sounds. It sounds like I should have a bullhorn in front of City Hall saying that, but I do feel like I'm starting to learn that like I can kind of navigate and control my own career's destiny, which is strange because guys my age, we were kind of reliant on the networks making us. I got to get the Tonight Show, and then from there I'll get a half-hour special, and then Comedy Central give me my own show, and then from there I'll do, but it was never the idea of just like, I'm going to be a YouTuber. I'll start with 0 followers, and in 5 years I'll have 230,000 subscribers, and then from there I'll start negotiating. And like that, people my age didn't look at show business like that. I just looked at it as like, I hope somebody can change my life tonight. That was my plan.
Yeah, you're right. Because the Tonight Show, that used to be the big thing. Now it's like podcasts. Like if you go on, probably not mine, but like a bigger podcast, like that can really give you a huge, put you in front of a lot of people.
Go on yours 10 times. That'll be it. I'll take that. I'd rather talk to you.
All right. Yeah. Come on over. I'm surprised you hadn't done more podcasts. I had to kind of search for interviews and find it. I'm surprised you hadn't done more.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't know. People stop hitting me. I think, because I'm in Denver. Once you're off the LA, New York grid.
Oh, good. But you're still on, that show's on nationwide, right? Or no, it's in Phoenix.
Yeah, it's nationwide. Yeah. So it's, honestly, I don't mind. I like talking to people that I like talking to. So like, I'd rather just find like somebody like you and talk to you like 3-4 times, every couple months. Cause I really value people that I think are trying to have an honest discussion. I think that that's being lost. I think it's easier to try and corner somebody or find something weird or wrong with something that somebody said. But I think the more interesting thing is like looking at people's perspective and how they approach an argument. Because I feel like when I'm bantering back and forth with my co-host, I don't necessarily care what we're talking about. I feel like you're giving me the gift of showing me how your mind works. And that's what I'm interested in. The topic about whether TikTok should blur out men's nipples, I don't care. But I do care about like, what are we really talking about? That's what I want to get to, that little part under there.
That is true. Yeah, I like that show. That's what I like about your show, because like you get both sides of different perspectives. Like yesterday, you guys talking about the Hooters shorts or whatever, and how they. And like, it was interesting to hear both sides. And I didn't even know where I stood on that. Cause I don't have a daughter, but if I did, I don't know if I'd want her to wear the thong shorts as a waitress at Hooters. And so there's all that there's different sides to all those opinions. It's interesting stuff.
It changes, bro. Because like I have a daughter now that's 14 and she's very developed. Let's just keep it 100. And like, I stopped drinking, but I would have to start again if I knew that she was working at Hooters and disgusting men were saying disgusting things to her. I would literally have to something bad would have to happen. So like, but at the same time, if she works at Hooters, I have to respect that decision. I have to support her. I have to say, I love the fact that you're taking ownership of your body. And if you want to go there, who cares what you're wearing? As long as you complete your tasks with dignity and you respect people, that's cool. But then at the same time, if she goes, Dad, can you believe they're making me wear this? Don't I have to say, I can believe they're making you wear that. That's Hooters.
That's what Hooters does. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's all these layers and no one's right and no one's wrong. It's what human life is these kind of beiges and grays. And like, there's nothing really solid, but it's interesting to talk about.
Absolutely. I'm surprised Hooters is still around, because it seems like there's all those other places that are like Hooters, but like they're way more provocative. And so I think there'd be more, like do they have Twin Peaks in Denver?
Yeah, I know they have. Yeah, yes, they do.
They have those here, and those are way more popular. They have way more like TVs, better food, and then the uniforms are different.
Well, that's a whole business model. They're called breastaurants.
Breastaurants, yeah.
Yeah, but there was the tilted kilt.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think those are around
Yeah,
anymore.
I think those went belly up or something. I don't know what happened.
Tilted killed because it's interesting you brought up Twin Peaks, because Twin Peaks did something that I think is smart, because Tilted Kilt, they went, it was so provocative that like when they came to your table, you were like, whoa, like it was, dudes were like, yo, like, ugh. Like, you're bringing my food, dog. Come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, all skin.
It's got to be like a health code violation or something.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it was a lot. I remember the first time I ever knew what even a tilted kilt was, I was a writer for Shaquille O'Neal on his show. He had a show on, but not TBS. What's the True TV?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, the Upload show.
Upload, yeah, I wrote on that show, and so we did. We would write 1 week in LA, 1 week in Orlando, where Shaq lived, and we'd shoot the sketches at Shaq's house. That's how big his house is. We could shoot sketches there and not repeat the background. So do that math.
You got to hang out at Shaq's house?
Yeah, a bunch of times. Yeah. Shaq is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I heard you say, that he's like super nice. And
dude, I'm such a Hoops fan that I was like so scared he's gonna be a douche, and he's just like you think, just like he is. So yeah, but anyway, so we went to a Tilted Kilt because we're in Orlando, it's nothing but chain restaurants, and that's all that there is.
Sucks.
And it like this, first of all, she was like 19 and she came over, and it was just and there's a point, I don't care what any dude says, where you switch over from being like a woman chasing dude to just like, you still can appreciate and want as many women as you could possibly get, but like you start looking, you're like, she's my niece's age, No,
I remember even thinking that,
where you're like, oh no.
Well, yeah, especially I remember like the first time I went to Hooters, I was like, whoa, this is cool, look at the girls. But then you see like the old like white guys with gray hair just like staring at them, and then it feels weird. It's like a weird, you're like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like there's this young girl and this like creepy old guy just like staring at her, and you're just, it's a weird vibe for sure.
It's like, I said this straight my hand to God before we did the Hooters story yesterday. I asked my executive producer, I was like, am I allowed to call Hooters a junior strip club? And he said yes.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. Because I mean, okay, minus there is nudity. That's why I call it junior, but there is a coercive nature to Hooters. The women that work there know that they're going to get paid more money because they're less scantily clad, or more scantily clad, however you say that. And they're men that, like most men, older men, like young, attractive women, know that young, attractive women want nothing to do with them. But if they go into this building and they'll pay a few more bucks for some wings, a few more bucks for some beers, these women are kind of contractually obligated to at least entertain their banter. That's the deal.
Right. And they know that
that's what it is.
Yeah. They're flirting, and the more they flirt and the more scantily clad, the better tips they're going to get. So,
right. And it look, man, Hooters been around, what, 40 some years, 80s?
It's been around for a while. I remember it was big in the 80s. People would have those shirts, and I don't know. I guess they were okay to wear at school, because I remember kids wearing them and being like, whoa, Hooters, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, the Twin Peaks, they went in sexy. It's like a Hooters 2.0, but they didn't go for what the Tilted Kilt, which is like almost naked.
Right.
Twin Peaks just went in kind of like a sexy rancher's daughter.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know about the ones in that you went to, but the one they have here, they just opened a new one, and it's like, I mean, it's pretty amazing with the TVs. They have just a wall of TVs, and you're just like, oh, this is great for like Sunday ticket. It's amazing.
It's a great experience, and it's like, for football, especially college football, depending on the city that you're in. Like people look forward to going there. It's kind of communal. There's also a lot of, it's not just creepy dudes in there, because when you do kind of brighten it up so it's not as dark and dingy, big TVs, good food, women like college football too. They'll go out with their dude, and women like seeing pretty women too.
Right.
So what's up?
And then they like to comment on how what's wrong with them.
Yeah, exactly. So they could just get that out, and then you can show your girl like, yeah, she is, that woman is disgusting. You're right, baby. Well, I can't just tell me when she's coming so I can close my eyes. Gross 19-year-old. But yeah,
that's true.
everybody, like, I think, but that leads into that other conversation, which we'll probably have to have at another time. But I just wish somebody would have told me at a younger age to really explore like my partner, my girl, as a person, rather than early on looking at every woman that I dated as like something I needed to get around to do what I really wanted to do. You know, like, oh, I
Right.
just gotta, I'll tell her I'm sick and then go to this party. It's like, no, I should have like found a girl that I like to go to parties with.
There you
You
go.
know,
Yeah, exactly.
it seems so simple.
You're
But
right.
it's like,
It's
you
good
don't really,
advice.
yeah, but it's just like you watch movies and television, and for some reason, especially when I was coming up, every woman that they cast had to be bummer chick. That's like, oh, Chuck, you already went out tonight. You know, like there's so many like fun women
Yeah.
that like kick it and will bust balls and hang out with the fellas or hang out with you. And,
Yeah.
you know, you can be friends and romantic at the same time and they get along with just all things. But like for me, I was just like, yeah, my girl, she wants me home by 3 a.m. I know. I'm like, I think that's pretty reasonable. Can you believe
Right.
it? Actually, I can't.
Yeah. No, no, that's a good point. It's like, if you guys are adults, like you don't have to be in this relationship with a woman, you know, it's like you find somebody that you actually like. I don't know why people, yeah, you're right. Like on TV, there's always the bummer chick. That's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah. Most women aren't like that. Most
No.
women.
Well, and if you have someone like that, then maybe you're in a bad relationship.
Maybe
Just
you
saying.
are.
Find
And
somebody
maybe,
that likes to do. I mean, there's girls that like to do all sorts of weird crap, like Game of Thrones and Harry Potter and all. I mean, I don't know that stuff, but there's a lot of girls who love that kind of stuff. Or they love video games. Even there's girls that love video games.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yes, they're called millionaires on Twitch. But yeah, who knew? I think that, and hopefully this has changed, man. But hopefully I was like the last generation of young. And I remember my father and his brothers used to give me this advice, and it was meant to be a good thing. It was meant for me to have self-esteem. But he was like, when you get to school, you find the prettiest girl and you walk up to her and don't be scared to ask her out. And I get where he's coming with that. But like, I tell my kids, like, instead of finding the prettiest person, find the person that smiles when you talk. I think that is just when somebody just naturally is smiling when you're talking to them and is receptive to you, that's better than like having to knock down somebody's iron wall of, lack of feeling towards you to possibly go on a date. I don't want to have to twist anybody's arm to be with me. I want it to be natural. I want it to flow smoothly. And so like, I just tell my kids, like, just find somebody that smiles at you. It'll figure itself out.
Well, yeah. And you can't, I mean, not to say that physical attractiveness isn't important. Of course it is, but that can't be the only thing. There's got to be more things. Like you said, you got to have some things in common. If you like to go to parties and they like to stay home and read, that's not going to, even if they're the most beautiful person in the world, it's not going to last very long as a relationship.
You're going to resent each other immediately. And it's like, I think we do ourselves a disservice when we say, well, Chuck, you and I just live different lives, but that doesn't mean we can't be a couple. Well, it does, because if you're at home and I'm at a party, well, you're going to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning and you're going to want to go to a farmer's market, and I'm going to roll out of bed at 2:30 in the afternoon and ask you, why do you have an attitude? It's
Right.
It's two different lifestyles. Like you
Totally.
do need to find somebody compatible, and it's not just something that you can get past. Oh, me and your grandmother did it. That doesn't mean it was a good idea. So like, let's maybe evaluate some of these things.
So which one are you? Are you the partier or are you the introvert? What do you like to do for fun?
Oh, the retired partier. Definitely.
Retired partier. Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was
because you said you don't drink anymore. Is there a story there?
Is there? Well, there's a story in that I knew that it was time to be done, and I knew the last drink I had. I knew it was that. It was a very weird moment, and I didn't really tell anybody at first. Like what had started to happen was, first of all, I'm 44 now, so I'm 22 months. I don't even keep track of it, but I just got a thing on my phone. But I'm 22 months without drinking. And
congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you. But honestly, I appreciate that. And I've helped some other people get sober, because when people see you get sober, they'll pull you aside. Like a lot of people. A lot more people struggle with it than than you would think, than I thought. I can't tell you what you thought, but
No, yeah. Before I started doing this podcast, I realized that, and then after I started interviewing, especially with a lot of the rock stars, that's like it's almost like textbook. Like they go through this party phase, and then, like you said, they either hit in their 40s or they get older or they have some sort of incident, and then it's like party's over. And then
that's the only question is like, are you going to stop now, or are you going to stop when you've gotten your 4th DUI? Which one?
Right.
When your kids don't talk to you anymore, you're going to stop now. And so I was just like, I think I'll do it now. It's, it's because alcohol initially, especially for people like us, like there were a couple years, 5 or 6 years, I was probably on the road 32 to 36 weeks a year. And that's 36 different beds, every night, a different group of people, eating bad food, traveling, being uncomfortable, missing your family, missing normalcy. And I don't know how many human beings are actually wired to live like that. And I think that's why entertainment throughout the year, you watch Game of Thrones and the court jesters drinking red wine. It's so overwhelming that no matter who you are, the alcohol is enough to like get you to the event. And I think the only difference is after the show's over, after you're done singing or boxing or rapping or whatever, whatever you do you get drugs to keep you going up, cocaine, Molly, or do you become a person that keeps drinking and gets pills and heroin and barbiturates to go down, sleeping pills, Xanax? It's just like, you think about like Mariah Carey, Eminem have issues with that because your body clock is thrown off. You're not sleeping well. And if you've been successful for years, you haven't slept well in years, you haven't eaten well in years, and your body is starting to shut down. And I just don't know how many entertainers are really equipped for a full-time life on the road. Because I've seen some really great comics that, for lack of a better term, lost their mind. They're not well anymore because it's just too many drunken nights and lost on country roads and fight at a stupid bar, just like, this is 15, 20 years. Like, how much can your psyche take? And we've seen it with a lot of entertainers that are just like not here anymore. Like Whitney Houston, like we all just watched that and everybody's like, oh, that was weird. Was it? We watched a reality show. Like, I mean, she was clearly a person that was struggling. Anna Nicole Smith, all these people that had been and have been on drugs forever, now they're starting to pass away and everybody's kind of shaking their head like, it's such a shame. It's like, we've literally watched this for decades, and now unfortunately the it's coming home to roost, and it's coming home faster because everything seems to have fentanyl in it. So we're just losing.
That shit's scary. Well, do you think it's better now then with TikTok and stuff? Because now people can have hundreds of thousands of followers and they don't even have to leave their house. They don't have to go on the road.
That's it. That's the big difference. And I think, that's what's going to ultimately save this next generation of entertainers. Because, if I could just say, hey, St. Louis, I'm coming there. And after I hit send, I've already sold 600 tickets. I can fly in on a private jet or just a regular jet, come in, do the show at 4, be on a flight out at 8:30 and sleep in my own bed with, 15,000 in my pocket. Like, I'll see, because before that, like as a comic like me, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to be at the Joker's Wild in New Haven, Connecticut. Well, how many fans do I have up there? Maybe 11. How many know I'm up there? Maybe 2. So that means I got to go up there and do 7 shows for people that are mildly indifferent and, try and eat enough, but not blow through my money that I'm making for the weekend. And it's not as fun. You're gone 5-6 times as long and it's not as lucrative. So I think that now I think this new generation of TikTok people are like Insta famous will be good. But
yeah, that's a good thing.
It's a good thing. But Chuck, let me ask you this. I want to get your thoughts on this. Is it a good thing that you did this thing to get famous on TikTok. You're able to do, like, let's say you're the balance a cup on my head and kiss my girlfriend TikTok guy. That's your thing.
That sounds like a real thing. I don't know if you just made that up.
It could be anything. There's a guy that just picks his dog up and puts it down and it's got 10 million views. It's like, God. But what's your show?
Right. No, I know. It's like that guy. I don't know.
That's the question.
God, I'm blanking on his name. It's Scott something or other. And he's from New York, but he has this TikTok bit where he's the disgruntled IKEA employee. And it's brilliant. He just has all these one-liners. And then he's talking about doing shows. And I'm like, I wonder what his stand-up would be, though. Like, because every TikTok is just him making this IKEA joke. But I don't know if you could do a whole set of that.
Yeah, well, I don't. Yeah, I don't either. And that's the question. Are people going to because you will have diehard fans.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that guy does. And so they're going to drive and go see him do what? Is he going? I've seen people, like influencers, will pull down that the kind of green screen or whatever, the white screen, and they'll show their video and then stop it. And then do a Q&A, like right here, Chuck almost fell when we were shooting this, but then you notice he got his footing, and then like they do almost like a Q&A.
Okay. And this is in a comedy club, or?
Yeah, comedy club venue.
Okay.
Yeah,
it seems like it's going to go like two ways. Like you got the TikTokers doing their thing, and then the real like live I mean, it seems like those are two totally different worlds. I guess sometimes they can come together, but yeah, it seems like it's totally different ballgame. I mean, I think there could be some that just do TikTok. Maybe they do an occasional live show, but yeah, I think that's going to be a different world. I don't know.
And also, could you take a date to a TikToker that you like? Because what are the chances you guys overlap? It's like, oh, you like Mughead 372? Like, oh yeah, let's go to like everybody's going to have a different thing. But I think both a couple could go to a stand-up where neither one of you guys to stand up and could enjoy yourself. So I don't know.
So where are you at now? Do you have could you do those weekend shows? Like you could probably do like Vegas. You could fly up to Vegas for a weekend and do some shows, right?
Bro, my schedule is just so beautiful, man. I'm done at 1:00 every day, and I use the Denver airport like a bus station, man. My kids are in LA, so I go to LA every weekend. But if I'm not in LA performing, I'll matter of fact, I bought 2 tickets to LA when we were getting ready to reboot when we talked the first time. So I just buy tickets to LA all the time. But when I'm not going to LA, I'll just jump on a flight, and I can be almost anywhere in the country by 8:00 on a Friday night, as long as it's not too far East Coast.
Okay.
And I'll just go and do a Friday, Saturday, and I can even do a Sunday as long as there's like a 5 a.m. out. I put my suit and tie in my car, get dressed in the car in rush hour traffic on the way back to where, and go straight to the set. So, I love doing stand-up, and luckily this job's allowed me to do it. So it's great. Yeah.
I think my girlfriend said she watches your show. Like she actually works for the Channel 12 affiliate here. So they always would have it on. And so, yeah. So she says that she's like, yeah, they're always saying like, oh, Al, he's always hustling. Like, so you're still doing a lot of stand-up in addition to that show.
Always, yeah. I feel like I'm almost ready to submit for an hour. I want to submit for an hour special on Netflix, but
oh, sweet.
Bro, I'm on it. I have an hour on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime, and then I have the half-hour special. And then I have a.
Wait, what's the one on Prime? Is there is there clips of that on YouTube?
Yeah, I think so. It's called Baby Steps. That's I did that one. I shot that one at the Vic Theater in Chicago.
Which one is the one that has the one where you talk about the different dudes? Like there's white dudes can be all the different kinds.
That's the Baby Steps one. Yeah.
Oh God, that was we got to talk about that, because explain this to me, because I thought about it and I was like, oh, that is weird. Why can't black people do mountain climbing or kayaking? Is it because it's racism in a way, but it's like black people against black people saying you can't, if you do that, you're white.
Absolutely. We are in a world of tribalism, and your tribe can also attack you as much as protect you. And when you start talking about things like, and basically for anybody that doesn't know the joke, just really quickly, I say I'm very jealous of white guys because they can go through all these different phases. They can be a frat guy. They can be, a business guy, a mountain man, all that kind of stuff. But black people, if we even just suggest anything to our black friends and it's kind of white, that's our nickname for the next 50 years.
I love this joke. It's so great.
Mountain climbing over here wants to go to the bar. So yeah. So like I got that joke because I remember seeing like a young black kid with a skateboard on the corner. I was in my car and I just looked at him. I was just so jealous. I was like, man, I wish I had been able to do that. And I see this younger generation of just black kids that are just free to be themselves.
Oh, so the younger generation is more free then.
Oh my God. Like rappers like Young Thug, he wears skirts. Like these rappers are very gender fluid and progressive and just like, like Little Nas X is something old people get worried about, not people my kids' age. And, I look at how free they are to truly explore like what they want to do. Like my son, who's, God, since 13, I'm trying to think I'm 6 feet tall and he's at my nose, which I hate. So he's 5'11", 13 years old. That young brother has no interest in basketball. Wouldn't know. He might know LeBron, but he likes other stuff. He's into acting, and he likes making shorts and putting stuff on YouTube and editing, like all these things where I just feel like me and my friends, it was just like, are you going to play basketball or football? Like those are your only choices as a black dude that grew up in the 80s, and I sucked at both of those things. No one ever talks about the unathletic black dude. That's real racism. To think I was like, Jesus, I'm slow and poor lateral movement. Where do I go?
But you were smart. I mean, we've established that. You didn't really try that hard in high school, but then obviously later, Brown and pre-med and all that. So
yeah, I figured it out towards the end. But I also, realized like I was dealing with crippling ADD that made it so I couldn't read. So I had to just listen to everything. And like, honestly, once I got Adderall, that changed my life in terms of me being able to like complete tasks. Like I finished like my kids book. I wrote a kids book over COVID. I don't know. Yeah, it's called.
Wow, kids book. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
man, you've done a lot. Where is Baby Ford?
Where is Baby Ford? And it's a book that I wrote. And basically it's my youngest son is on the spectrum, and the book is twofold in that one, the main adventure is that my kids are in this kind of Sims world. It's called Roblox, but people our age we called it the Sims, like those kind of ever expanding universes, And so they're looking for my youngest son, looking for his avatar. And, they when they find it, the avatar isn't talking, and they realize that, they think something's wrong with him, but it's just that he's gone outside. So that's one part that he's not playing video games, but also in every scene that he is in, he doesn't speak because at that point in his life, he was almost nonverbal. And I wanted to be true to his character and not have him speaking if he wasn't speaking. And I wanted to show people that he could have an impact on every scene, even though he wasn't speaking. And so like it's 10% of all the funds go to the Firefly School for Autism here in Denver that I do a lot of charity work for.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, so I did that, and I wrote a movie script and finished that.
Wow.
Taught myself how to DJ. I was DJing gigs right up until the end of till Corona hit. But yeah, I just like all these things that I was always wanted to do. Just me finding the right kind of medication and everything, and being able to harness like what gifts I've been given has been really great for me. So wow, I recommend it. Mental health, everybody.
Yeah.
Go talk to somebody, bro.
No, that's a great thing. That's okay. So it's Ritalin that it's like that movie with Bradley Cooper. What's it called? Limitless.
Limitless. Yeah. I mean, it's something like, it's for me, it just kind of slows everything down where I can not get overwhelmed in my thoughts, especially like when I'm reading, because I would just be reading something and then I'd be like, what time is that interview with Chuck? Is there an H in his last name? Like, I'm just like, so whatever I'm reading, it's gone.
Okay.
So,
did you say you listen though? Because that's what I've noticed for me, that if I'm listening like on a book on tape, I can even put it up at sometimes even double speed, and then I can absorb way more.
Absolutely. That's what I do. Cause I use Skillshare, because I'm starting a clothing line with a friend of mine. So I'm learning a bunch of that stuff.
Jeez, you're doing so many things.
And oh gosh, I'm doing the boring part first, but hopefully it'll pay off. Yeah. But yeah, I put everything on double time, and it just like I can pick it up really quickly because I don't need just quick. So it sounds like we we're probably of the same, literally the same mindset.
Yeah, no, that definitely, at least in that regard, for sure. Absolutely. Well, this has been a lot of fun. So is that, I always end with a charity. Is that the charity you want to promote? Or is there another one that you want to give a shout out to here?
Oh, I actually just did another charity this last week from Mercy Housing. They give affordable housing to people, I guess in this, I don't know what regions are, but the west of the Mississippi, Denver,
Okay.
Seattle, Arizona, I don't know. But yeah, they give affordable housing to people that need it, as well as like wraparound services, like they teach like online banking, bankruptcy avoidance.
Oh,
To like
that's good stuff.
people that have like literally never had a bank account or a place that had a shower that they lived. People that are literally almost from nothing. They take them, they really build them up. And the people involved at Mercy Housing are just dedicated, wonderful people. And so I just emceed their last charity event. But Mercy Housing.
That sounds amazing.
.org.
That's
They're
great.
just like such great people. And I was telling my girlfriend the other day, I was like, you watch the news and it's terrible things happening. And you're like, how does the world just not collapse in on itself? And it hit me. I was like, the good people are just really quiet. They're just people that get up and help a young mother like establish her life again, get away from a circumstance that's going to kill her, but they don't post it. They don't argue about it. It just happened. And then they move on because that's how they're wired. And so for all the terrible stuff that some governor is going to say, they can't stop the fact that there's millions of us out here trying to do good and trying to get this generation launched into the next generation. So
absolutely. That's a great. Now, do they have offices in Phoenix, or do they work with people in Phoenix or Arizona at all?
I believe they do.
Okay.
I'll text and see, but I know that they're regional. So I think they're like,
okay,
there's a lot of them. I'm like,
all right,
99.999% sure there's maybe even the headquarters in Phoenix.
Okay. I like to learn about all these. I'm like connecting all the dots. Like you mentioned Nick Lowry, like he's working with this organization called Champions for the Homeless. And so I'm hooking him up with the guy that I interviewed that's working with homeless people. And I'm like, I want all these people to like, all these dots to connect and let's all work together. Let's not
figure something out? Let's, at this point with technology and just people being able to coordinate and kind of streamline their schedule, like we could do something really cool if we sat down and thought about it for a second. So I'm on board.
Exactly.
So
we don't need the politicians or exactly. I agree. Okay. Very cool. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for doing this. You'll have to come back. I had a bunch of other questions about stand-up and all that. We didn't even get to it, but I just loved where the conversation went. So I don't want to stop you.
Oh, bro, anytime, man. I'm always here. And this has just been a pleasure. I knew it would be. And I saw it's this little side note for everybody. I saw that you text me to confirm yesterday, and I didn't respond for a couple hours because my youngest son, the one on the spectrum, just like he just goes through my phone, takes notifications off, changes it to some weird German font. It's just like he does all these hilarious things. So like I didn't realize that you would text me, and I was like, "Oh God, he's gonna think I'm a flake." So
no, that was the funny thing. That was so like flattering that you're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry I didn't respond." I was like, "It's only been a couple hours." Like, I mean, I have people that either don't respond at all or they respond like 5 minutes before the interview. Yeah, I'm here. What? It's like what? Man. Like, you confirmed like 3 hours later, and you're like apologizing. I was like, "Okay, this guy's a good guy. I like this. This is good." So, thanks for doing it. I appreciate it.
Hey, bro, it was an absolute blast, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, talk to you later, Al. Bye.
Thanks.
Al Jackson. I want to thank him again for doing my show. And again, make sure to follow him on social media. Check out some of his stand-up clips on YouTube or watch the whole special on Amazon Prime. And check out Daily Blast Live. It's a daily, go figure, in the afternoons. They have some fun discussions, and it's actually a good way to find out what's going on in the world too. So thank you so much for listening to my show. And if you'd like to help me out, your likes, follows, and comments on social media and YouTube help out a lot. And also make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen or watch so that you don't miss any future episodes. I've got some really great guests coming up, and I'm talking to a few more, so make sure to follow me somewhere so that you can keep up. I appreciate all your help with making the show grow so more people can find it. And if you have the time, write me a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps me out immensely as well. So have a great rest of your day, and remember, shoot for the moon.